Before we get started, let's take a look at the options. Hearts of Demons Baron features a wide variety of options to allow you to customize your experience however you see fit. From the volume of the footsteps, to what spells spawn, what power-ups spawn, what weapons spawn, so on and so forth. Make sure you check this out before you start playing and tweak it to your liking after you've played for a bit. First up, we have the spells. Magic is one of the main draws of the mod and the main source of damage. Your secondary being guns. We'll cover those more in a bit. There are 4 spells, and you find spells through weapon pickups. Let's go learn them. Once a spell is learned, the weapon pickup either turns into a soul or a soul gem fragment, which we will cover more in a bit. Now that we have multiple spells, reload will cycle your spells forward, zoom will cycle your spells backwards, and they wrap around. There's only 4 spells so that you don't get bogged down by magic in a fight, which it can be important to quickly switch between spells based on the situation. So what are the spells? First we have Flare. Flare throws a Baron Ball. That's it. Just a basic throw a Baron Ball spell. Next up, we have Incineration. Incineration throws an explosive ball. It also can be charged up based on your magic level. Now, what is magic level? If we turn around here, you see these gems? These are soul gems. By collecting a soul gem, your magic level increases and your mana capacity increases. Incineration can be charged up to a level equal to your magic level. As it charges up in level, the explosion gets bigger and the fireball gets deadlier, up to a max of 5, which has special properties you'll have to find out on your own. Next, we have Immolation. Immolation is a flamethrower. It eats mana quickly but dishes out a lot of damage, and at maximum level, it'll even set enemies on fire. Finally, we have Catastrophe. Catastrophe is quite the spell. We're going to move into the other room so that there's enough room for me to cast it and not kill myself. Normally, your explosions don't hurt you outside of weapons, but Catastrophe is a little special. So let's cast it. As you can see, it's pretty awesome. It's slow to cast, and at level max it becomes quicker to cast. Rains down meteors in a small area that explode and set the ground on fire. The flames on the ground can even set enemies on fire, and that fire can spread to other enemies in close proximity, causing a chain effect of just massive amounts of damage. By collecting this rune that replaces various items, this red one here, unlocks your Apex spells. Apex spells are your alt fires on all your spells. Every spell has an Apex cast. I won't go over them all, you'll have to figure them out on your own. But Baron Balls is it fires a small lightning ball that can pierce through enemies. Yeah, you know what, screw it, we'll go over them all. Next up, Incinerations is a spell I like to call Smite. You'll see why. Now, Smite sends you flying forward and releases a nasty punch. If an enemy is hit by that punch, it'll trigger an explosion that deals massive damage to the enemy hit, as well as a decent amount of splash damage to enemies around it. Immolation is a spell I call Wrath. Wrath charges up and then causes a small lightning storm centered on the Baron. As your level increases, the area of the storm increases. Finally, we have Catastrophes, a spell which I call Armageddon. Now, I might not even have enough mana to cast this spell right now. Yeah. So let's go grab that soul gem and see if it gives us enough to cast it. Really? Well, it looks like you'll have to find out on your own what it does. But I promise you, it's definitely worth the high cost. Next up, we'll go over your melee options. Your main melee weapon is your claws. The Baron's body is one of his greatest weapons, after all. You have a main fire and an alt fire. Your main fire swings your claws. The alt fire does a ground slam. If you hold down alt fire, you pick up a rock, which then you can throw. Makes for a great backup attack if you run out of mana and ammo. Additionally, if you hit alt fire while you're clawing, you'll punch. Punching does increase damage, a set amount of damage, and enemies have a chance to drop demon hearts. We'll cover what demon hearts are later. Nextly, you have your other... No, actually, we'll go over the runes. Your melee can be further enhanced by picking up one of these, a Fury rune. A Fury rune, in addition to making your melee better, also gives you base defense. As you can see, with the Fury rune, I have a different swinging animation for my claws and my punches. My ground slam also goes further. As does the rock throw. When you hit level max, your Fury rune will automatically evolve into a Carnage rune, which even further increases your strength and speed, to the point that you move faster and your weapons have less recoil. Finally, for your last melee option, you have the Diablo Battle Hammer. Diablo is a little special. It's slow to swing, slow to recover, but extremely powerful. The horizontal swings with main fire can hit multiple targets at once or the same target multiple times. The overhand swing with alt fire only hits a single target, but inflicts an incredible amount of damage. With Carnage, you can one-shot a Baron with the alt fire. You just have to be careful he doesn't claw your eyes out while you're doing it. Finally, if you have an enchantment rune, you can hit the ground and it'll send out a shockwave that'll home in and explode enemies. What's an enchantment rune? We'll cover that very soon. Next, we have your guns. The Baron, in addition to having a full arsenal of spells, has a full arsenal of firearms, fit for a Baron such as himself. Starting up, we have the ball spike cannon. The ball shoots a single piercing spike. It'll pierce through weaker enemies, usually causing them to jib, and then will hit stronger enemies for a lot of damage. It has strong recoil and a slow rate of fire, but is one of the few long-range weapons that the Baron has. Next in slot 3 is the Belial Flak Cannon. The Belial Flak Cannon is a personal favorite of mine. It shoots a wide fan of flak that burns up after so long in the air, and it, up close, deals an additional melee attack when it's firing, allowing it to do absurd amounts of damage. Again, it's another weapon that can one-shot Barons if the dice roll in your favor, and can reliably one-shot an Archvile. Next up, we have slot 4. Slot 4, we have the Gao 19A. This weapon is another favorite of mine. It looks like just a normal upscaled chain gun, but it has a spin up, a spin down, and once you start firing, it stays spun up so you can fire in bursts if need be. It inflicts a lot of damage really fast, so don't be afraid to use it on bosses. Also in slot 4, we have the Browning M2HB. The M2 fires the same exact bullets as the Gao, and as such does similar damage, but as you can see here, it's a lot more accurate, but shoots slower. Both have their uses, and you can switch which one spawns in the options, as you can with all firearms that share a slot. Next we have slot 5, the MK19. This rapid-fire grenade launcher doesn't do very much direct hit damage, if any at all, but it does large amounts of splash damage in a fairly large area. You have to be careful not to hit yourself with it, though. Next up, we have the Moloch Rocket Multi-Cannon. The Moloch fires rockets that explode into flames, as you can see here. The flames stick around for a few seconds and damage enemies, as well as the rocket itself being able to set enemies on fire with direct hits. It does decent damage, but the fire can really push it over the edge into lots of damage. Finally, we have slot 6. Slot 6 is the Azazel Magic Autocannon. Its main fire is a rapid fire of 20mm explosive shells. The alt fire of it is a little special. It's a magical shot that gains additional properties based on what spells you own. If you own Incinerate, you can charge it up. If you own Immolation, it pierces enemies, and if you own Catastrophe, it explodes. So what about the other weapons? Well, if we come over here, you see that green flaming rune? This is an enchantment rune. Much like the Apex runes, it replaces random items. There, you can see the message of weapon enchantments unlocked. Now, each gun has an alt fire enchanted shot. We'll go over these quickly. The Belial Spike Cannon fires a fan of spikes instead of a single spike. I meant the ball. The Belial fires a mid-range cluster of sparks that will explode after a short while. Accidentally picked up a berserk from the recoil. Next, the Gao and the Gao and the M2 share a magic shot because they're so similar to each other already. This magic shot will set enemies on fire, which that fire can then spread to other enemies when they get too close to the enemy, resulting in it not doing a lot of direct damage, but it can do a potential of tons of damage over time. The MK19 shoots a MIRV missile, and up close causes a giant explosion that doesn't damage you. The Moloch The Moloch shoots a single explosive rocket. These rockets don't spread flames, but can set enemies on fire still. Now, let's go over some of the rest of the runes and the items. You may have seen me pick up one of these blue runes. These have a chance to replace various items and berserks. What they do, they're called mana boosters. What they do is you pick them up, they restore your mana for a bit, and they give you a small duration of having infinite mana. Additionally, they have you count as level max for the sake of spellcasting for the rest of the level. So you unlock all the benefits of level max spells without actually being level max. It does not, however, scale with the other effects of level, such as reducing the cost of spells. The invulnerability is exactly as you remember it, just instead of it being a obnoxious black and white screen, it's an obnoxious yellow screen. The computer map is untouched, and soul spheres, supercharges, if you will, now restore mana in addition to restoring hit points, and expand your mana capacity, like a soul gem. Unlike a soul gem, they do not increase your level. Again, soul gems are the only way to increase your level. Megaspheres are also largely unchanged, kind of. Their effect is much greater. They're like a supercharge, but much better. Now this is special. This is a bruiser sphere. What the bruiser sphere does, makes you invulnerable, boosts you like a megasphere, and increases your bruiser bar. What is the bruiser bar? Well, you see that orange bar above my ammo indication, but below my weapon indicators? That is your bruiser bar. If that fills up, and you reach level max, you can transform into a bruiser demon permanently. I won't show this off, but bruiser demon's so hot that it melts weapons that it touches, and has its own variety of spells and apex spells. You'll have to check it out on your own if you want to know more details. In addition to soul gems, you can also collect ammo satchels. These work like backpacks, but for your ammo. Additionally, after you have them collected, magic satchels will appear. Magic satchels increase your ammo capacity by 10% and stack infinitely. Finally, we have minor items, which you can hear. Replacing blue armor is Baron Hearts. Baron Hearts increase your max HP, much like a health bonus does. Demon Hearts, replacing green armor, do the same except for a smaller effect. Stimpaks only restore 1 hit point, and medkits only restore 5 hit points. They're nowhere near as effective on you as they are on humans because, well, you're not human. Human medical technology doesn't really work on you. Armor bonuses are replaced with health bonuses, and health bonuses function exactly like you think they do. They restore you and to above maximum health, not max capacity like I said before. That was just me flubbing. Now, lastly, we have soul gem fragments. Soul gem fragments spawn over certain ammo items and over spells and runes you already own. On their own, they do nothing, as you can tell. However, if you collect 5 of them, it increases your mana capacity and your level because it assembles a new soul gem, and the count starts over at 0. Very handy. And that's it. That's a basic overview of all the weapons and mechanics of Hearts of Demons Baron. Well, almost. Almost forgot. Trampling. The Baron is so heavy that while running at high speeds, you can trample and jib lesser enemies, and crash into bigger enemies to deal large amounts of damage. And now, that is it. Thanks for watching, have fun, and as always, keep me posted.